I quit. If I don't give this a shot now, I'll never know. Busted my ass so hard. I was at 9,000 followers at the time. I'm going to New York Fashion Week. I've literally been able to change my life, be your own boss, and be creative. And I'd love to introduce you guys to... Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. Like you guys can tell in today's video, we are very comfy because we are sitting down for a little very overdue story time. And if you guys are new here, my name is Nitsan and I quit my 9-to-5 3 years ago to become a full-time fashion blogger, content creator, influencer, whatever you want to call it. And this video is going to be all about my story, my experiences, my lessons learned, because I know over the last 3 years I've received so many questions from you guys about how I came to the decision to quit my 9-to-5, how it's been for me, kind of like the journey and what it's like. So I really wanted to sit down, and I literally have my little friend's mug here with my chai tea latte, and we are going to literally spill the tea. Well, hopefully not, because I really don't want to get this beautiful chair dirty, but anyway, we are going to jump straight into it. And I know for you guys who follow me on Instagram, I asked you guys to submit any questions, like specific questions that you guys have, so we're going to be covering them in the story time. So stay tuned. The answers will be throughout this video basically. And I have a very exciting announcement at the end as well. So let's jump right into it and start talking. So the story really started for me when I graduated university, and I went to the Schulich School of Business, which is a business school here in Toronto. To be honest, when I graduated high school, I really didn't know what I wanted to do. I honestly considered going into psych because I felt like psych was just kind of like what you do when you don't know what to do. But I got into Schulich and I was very excited, and I just decided to go because I ended up realizing that no matter what I will end up doing in life, it will somehow be related to business. So it's just great knowledge to have. It's a great school. I should just go. So I went, and the first year, I believe, is kind of just like mandatory courses. So it was a little bit of accounting, finance, all of that. And then in second year, we had an intro to marketing, and I just remember thriving in that class. Like, I loved this class so much. I found marketing to be so interesting, and I'll never forget my best friend that I actually met in Schulich. Shout out to Christine. So she sat next to me in this class, and I was just raising my hand and just like answering questions. I had so much to like comment, and I wanted to just be a part of the lesson, which is not typical of me. Like in school, I was pretty shy and quiet. Like only if a teacher really called on me would I really raise my hand. But in marketing, I was like going ham. Like I was so into marketing. And she, I remember, just like looked at me and was like, you know what I see you doing? Like, I see you doing something in like fashion, like something like Lauren Conrad. And I was like, oh my God, that is the coolest compliment. I didn't even think that like marketing and business could be a thing with fashion. Like, what a great idea. I'll never forget that comment, because I think that's when I realized, like, yes, this is what I want to do in business. Like, I am obsessed with marketing. It's so cool. This could be tied into fashion and beauty, and I'm going for it. So in third year, when we were able to start selecting our courses and kind of picking the area that we wanted to specialize in for our degree, I decided to obviously specialize in marketing, and I took all marketing courses. Like literally every single marketing course that was offered, I took. And in one course in particular, which was entertainment marketing, the term project for the year was to start a blog. And at the time, I was really into makeup and beauty. Like I was watching a lot of YouTube tutorials and just like practicing. Like I was really into the makeup world. But anyway, started the blog, and the name that I picked for the blog was Beauty Rewritten. For some of you guys who are OG viewers or followers, I'm sure you know all the tea about that. Anyway, I just had the best time with that blog that I kept it going beyond the class project, obviously. But during that term or that semester, I remember sitting outside of one of my other lectures and just thinking to myself, like, why don't I start an Instagram for this page? Like, why don't I start an Instagram for my blog? I could share my blog photos, like more flat lays, because like I was really getting into like flat lays back then. My old flat lays are so tragic. Anyway, had so much fun with that. So I started my Instagram. I remember the day. I was also into makeup and beauty at the time, so I really wanted to get my foot in the door in the beauty industry. And I ended up getting an internship at a beauty brand here in Toronto, which at the time was basically a startup. I think I was one of their, probably their third or fourth employee in their smaller, tiny office at the time. And I literally busted my ass so hard. I was in school full time. I was working part-time retail, literally selling panties and bras at La Vie en Rose. And I was also interning at this brand once to twice a week for free. So really just getting the experience. And when I graduated, I actually had a full-time job with them lined up, which was amazing because I know like third year, fourth year, everyone's like scrambling to find jobs. And I was really lucky that I found an internship that I loved, and I really was able to be creative in my position there, that I was so excited. I really got to learn all parts of the business because it was kind of like a startup at the time. So my role was so, I guess it really touched every aspect of the business, which was really cool. So I jumped straight into that role. I literally started 2 weeks after graduating, which was very quick, but I remember just being so excited to just like dive into the industry. Like I never wanted the time off. I was so ready to just start making moves. And I was with this brand for 3 years. So over those 3 years, I went from being an intern to becoming a coordinator, and then I was promoted to a marketing manager, specifically in social media. And now this brand is definitely like known worldwide. They're carried by all major retailers. They've grown exponentially. So in that role, I oversaw all things social media. So I was in charge of all their social media accounts, including Instagram, where I shopped content myself, edited it myself, and posted it myself. Obviously later down the line, we also had a photographer and team, but grew their account to 100K, which was amazing. That was like a goal I set for myself during my time at this brand that I wanted to hit. So I did it, and I was very excited. I planned social media photo shoots for the brand and with the influencers and activations, and we did trade shows and press trips, and it was a lot of fun. I got to travel a lot, which was great, and I really got a taste of the brand side of the industry, which was really cool. Like one trip in particular actually was we had a Coachella activation for bloggers that we kind of picked to work with, and we flew out to Palm Springs, and obviously on the brand side, I was overseeing all things like blogger activations and the content they had to promote and just the whole strategy for that trip overall. And I remember looking at the bloggers that we brought on to be in this like a beautiful mansion in Palm Springs creating content for this brand, and I just looked at them and I was like, I remember thinking to myself, like, those girls have the coolest jobs in the world. They get to be flown out, they get to be their own bosses, create content, be creative, they attend Coachella, and like that's their job, to just share their lives and just get in touch with people from all around the world. Like that is the coolest job in the world. And I remember looking at them with such admiration and respect for building their own businesses like that, and I just thinking to myself, like, how cool is their job? Like I want to do that so bad. And obviously during my time with this brand and over those 3 years, I still kept up my Instagram and my blog, and I would again like hustle so hard. I would shoot every weekend. I would have my boyfriend, now my fiance, then boyfriend Josh, shoot me every weekend. I had my little brother who I picked up from school sometimes, and I wouldn't drive him home until he took a picture of my outfit that I was wearing that day. So when I went to pick him up, I would literally dress all cute and know that I'm not taking him home until he takes my picture. So he was literally 7. I gave him my iPhone and I was like, no, get lower. Anyway, gotta do what you gotta do. But I definitely kept it up, and I definitely transitioned to more into fashion. So whereas I started really in beauty, I really got to have fun with my outfits. I got really into like fashion and sharing what I'm wearing that day, and I honestly just had the best time, again, creating content. And it got to a point where I started growing, like brands reached out for gifting opportunities, I started reaching out to brands, and I started getting like little, I guess, gifting campaigns at the start. And then I got my first paid campaign, which was with Urban Planet. It was $60 for an Instagram photo, and I was like, like I was so excited. I actually still have that email, so I'll have it here on the screen for you guys to check out. But I remember when they asked me for my rates, I was like, I don't know, I've never done this before. But when they agreed to $60, I was just so excited. I think I was probably at like 7,000 followers at the time, like not even a 10K, and I was just ecstatic. So I started shooting more. I also met up with photographers on weekends, which was honestly the most uncomfortable thing, but I had to get content. Like you just had to do what you had to do. And I would change in the back of cars, and I would just shoot these like high-res DSLR sabotage photos and would post them on my blog and on my Instagram. Like every weekend a new photographer. Just gotta do what you gotta do. And I started realizing that I was growing because different accounts were posting my photos, so I started tagging more accounts. I remember actually before I even worked full-time, I was in a lecture in university, and Brandy Melville reposted my photo, and this was, again, I was like maybe at 7,000 followers, and I started gaining followers like crazy because Brandy Melville was like the brand back then, and when brands would repost your photos, you would grow like crazy. So I literally was so excited. I got up and I left my lecture. I was like, I have to go. I'm so excited. And I just started tagging more brands, like even pages like OOTD magazine at the time were just the coolest thing. Like if you were posted on OOTD magazine, you were on the road to success. So I started messaging them and building a relationship with them, and I just started pitching myself to brands too. Like I literally had nothing to show for myself, but I just figured out a way to craft my message to them and like my outreach that it was so good, and kind of like talk myself up and showed them my stats and just asked to create content for them to really show them what I'm capable of, and just started building relationships that way. So started growing, started shooting content, kept this up obviously while I was working full time, and it got to a point where I started having to turn down opportunities which were so cool to me back then. Like brands started inviting me to little lunch events like during the day, and I couldn't go because I was working 9 to 5 and I didn't have enough time to shoot, and I was getting sent all these clothes, but I was so busy with work. Like I really took my job at this brand so seriously. It was my life, and it was hard for me to start balancing both. And one day I got the biggest email that I have ever gotten at that point, and it was from Sephora collection, and I was just dying that the word Sephora was in my inbox. Like I was so excited, and they wanted me to do a like campaign for them for one of their face masks, and I just couldn't believe that I had to turn it down because the brand that I worked at wasn't the most supportive of me, I guess, creating content for other brands and just in general, and I felt like I would have to turn it down, and I was so upset about it. I was like, look, Sephora collection finally reached out to me. How am I going to turn this down? Like I want to take this on. Like I want to do this campaign. Like I want to work with Sephora collection. It just got to a point where I wasn't happy, and I felt like I wasn't supported at the brand that I was at, and I wasn't flexible, and I was being held back, honestly. And I decided that I just didn't want to hold myself back anymore. It was kind of like, and now or never. I have this one campaign, which honestly was for probably $200 if I'm lucky, and I was under 10K at the time. I think I was at like 9,000 followers, but it honestly felt like it was now or never. Like if I don't give this a shot now, I'll never know, and I just couldn't hold myself back anymore. So I quit. And I was at 9,000 followers at the time, which sounds absolutely crazy because I know a lot of you guys on Instagram too asked me, how did you know you were going to be financially fine? And the answer is I just didn't. Like I had no idea. But I think what I started to realize, and this is just my biggest lesson learned, is that when you're in a position where you are comfortable, you are not going to work as hard as you will when you're not comfortable. Like if you are working 9 to 5 and you have a steady paycheck and you still want to make social media your full-time career, you probably won't have the same passion and reason to make it work as you will when you're working 9 to 5. Like when I quit, I had to make this work for myself. Like I was not willing to go back to 9 to 5. I wanted it so bad, and I just had to figure out a way to do it. And I had to really get creative with reaching out to brands and making moves and just figuring out what to do. So that is just the biggest lesson that I've learned from that time. And this isn't me telling you to just get up and quit your 9 to 5s. Like you definitely have to be smart about it. At the time I was living at home, so my circumstances allowed me to do it. Like I wasn't paying rent, I had food on the table, I was living with my parents, and I was able to kind of take that time for myself and give it a shot before it was too late. So I'm not telling you to get up and quit your jobs right now, but I'm telling you that if you want this bad enough, you will have to really push it and push yourself to make it happen. I guess you would think that it would be the scariest decision ever, and in some ways it was, but I just remember being fearless. Like I wasn't scared of what was to come. I was just excited and hungry and just wanted it so bad. Like I didn't even know if it was gonna work out, but my mentality was like, you know what, if it doesn't, it was a lot of fun and it was a great try and I had a great time doing it. So I quit. And it's important for me to also mention, actually one second, we're spilling a lot of tea, I need some tea. It's important for me to also mention that before I quit, I was supposed to go to New York Fashion Week with the brand I was working at. We had some like marketing things going on. We wanted to create content and blogger activations, all this stuff. And I was so excited to get to go to New York Fashion Week with them. Like I didn't even know what New York Fashion Week was at the time. I just knew of it and I knew I wanted to go, and I knew it was so cool and probably the coolest thing I would have ever done at that point. And when I quit, one of the things that I was like very upset about missing out on if I was to quit was going to New York Fashion Week. And when I quit, I kind of thought to myself, you know what, I'm still gonna go. I'm going to New York Fashion Week. What I'm wearing, I don't know. How I'm going, I'm not sure. Do I have the money? No. Do I have anything lined up? Absolutely not, but I'm going. And at the time, my boyfriend Josh was living in New York, so I was able to stay with him, which was great. And I just decided that I was going to download the schedule, like the New York Fashion Week schedule with all the brands. It literally breaks down like every day what shows are happening, morning, and I sat there on my bed. I will never forget the day. I had the schedule, I think like on one window on my computer, and I would flip through, find the PR contact or brand contact, anything that I could find for each one of these brands, and I would just pitch myself. And I had 9,000 followers. Why these brands would even look at me, there was no reason that they would, but I wanted to give it a shot because I honestly had nothing to lose. So I ended up crafting my perfect pitch, reached out to so many brands, like these brands including Zimmerman, Sabotage, that I reached out to them, but I had nothing to lose, and I was at 9,000 followers, at 9,000 followers, and I just crafted like the most perfect pitch that I thought at the time. I made myself a makeshift media kit with like content that I've done, and I just pitched myself to go and attend these shows. So I ended up going to New York Fashion Week with my best friend Emma, which I'm sure you guys know. We both quit our jobs at the same time to start doing it full time, and we went to New York Fashion Week together. She was sleeping on Josh's couch. We were just running around New York City taking very questionable outfit pictures. I'll insert some throwbacks here, and just seeing what could happen. I ended up also getting invited to a few very small shows in New York Fashion Week, which to me was just the biggest success. Like, I didn't care what show this was, who the designer was. I've never heard of them, but all I know is that I was going and I was sitting down at a fashion show for the first time, and I was going to fake it till I make it. Like, I posted like I was attending Chanel, but I was literally at like this little indie brand. But it was very, very cool. And before I went, I also, like I said, I had to figure out a way to make money. So before I went, I ended up pitching myself to just a bunch of different brands, whether it was paid or for gifting, just to have like content to create to fake it till I make it in New York Fashion Week. And I ended up reaching out to a girl that worked at Smashbox at the time. Shout out to Kyla. And I just reached out to her, told her I quit my job. I was going to New York Fashion Week and attending all these like little shows, like hoping she doesn't know who the brands are anyway, but I was attending, I was going. And I wanted to create like a makeup look for Smashbox and some stories, like a get ready with me for New York Fashion Week, which was something that I always did. Like, I took a trip that I was going on and pitched it for content, and she ended up being interested, and she offered me $300 for an Instagram photo and stories, and literally sent me a little gift bag with makeup to use. And that was the coolest moment ever. Like, I was almost in tears when I got that $300 campaign for New York Fashion Week that I just pitched myself over DM to this girl. I was just so excited. Like, I was like, this is going to finance my trip, which is great. And so I did that. I had a Luxie hair takeover that I'm pretty sure I did for free at the time, just to like have content around New York Fashion Week. And one of the coolest moments of that trip that when I talk about, I get a little bit emotional. I reached out to Sabosker, which at the time was my favorite brand, and like a brand I was just dying to work with. And they gifted me, I think, once or twice before at this point. So I reached out to the founder. Like, seriously, I was gutless, and I was just telling her that I was going to New York Fashion Week and I'd love to wear their stuff. And turns out they had a show in New York Fashion Week at the time as a part of like an Australian label's like fashion show, and we ended up taking over their fashion show from behind the scenes, and just a takeover on their Instagram and a giveaway. And we were wearing like full blown out Sabo skirt like outfits, like stunning outfits. And we have this one photo that I'll insert here, which we took right before we went to their fashion show. Like, we woke up at 6 a.m. We put on a full face of makeup on the cab on the way to this like hotel to create our like takeover from. We took this photo on that hotel's rooftop, like overlooking New York City, wearing like full blown, like I was literally in almost like a gown. And I just remember thinking to myself, like, this is so cool. Like, I was just so happy and grateful to be there. Like, I didn't even care if it was gonna work out for me. I just knew that I was just so excited to be doing what I was doing in that moment. And we went to the fashion show, we took over, we posted our photo and our giveaway, and it literally at the time like blew up. Like, it was the coolest moment. It still is in my career so far, because it was so monumental almost. I just remember thinking to myself, like, I am doing this. Like, I am going to work my ass off. This is so cool. I want this so bad, and I'm going to make this happen for myself. My goal for that New York Fashion Week trip was to hit 10,000 followers. I wanted that 10K, like that K in my bio so bad. So like I said, I had to get creative, pitch takeovers, giveaways, and to really try and just get myself in front of different audiences in hopes of growing. And I didn't hit 10K on that trip, and I was a little bummed, but a week later I did. And I remember I was walking to meet a friend for brunch, and I got the K in my bio. I finally hit it, and I was just so excited. The road to 10K is is quite the road. So if you're in those shoes and you are still working for that K, do not give up, sister. Like, it is possible. You just have to get creative and figure out what to do, but it is possible. But I was so excited, and I at this point just really had to figure out how to make money because I was not going back to 9 to 5. I needed to figure out what to do now that New York Fashion Week was over. So I did what I did for New York Fashion Week. I pitched myself like crazy to brands. I started literally taking any paid campaign, which was like very little at the time. Any paid campaign that I took at the time, I would put towards my business because I literally treated it like a business even when I was at 10K, and I would invest that money into traveling because I realized that travel content performed really well, and I was growing and I was reaching new audiences in all these different places, and I just had the best time. Like, I went from working 9 to 5 and having to ask permission to go to a doctor's office to just being able to book a trip for next week, and just truly I was just living my best life. But I was working so hard to just make things happen. And the Urban Planet campaign that I once got back then, I obviously reached out to them, told them I was doing it full time and just like wanted to continue working together, and I booked my very first photo shoot for a brand, which I have a quick little video here that hopefully I can insert. It was so cool to just go on set and have my hair and makeup done and also create content on my end for it. I had a vlog. I think it was for Black Friday, I believe. It was a lot of fun, and looking back, it's very easy to forget like the hard work that I put into it because I literally like woke up and worked my ass off until I went to bed. Like, I wanted it so bad. I reached out to so many different brands, and I was just really taking any opportunity that came my way, and I was saying yes to basically everything. And during that time, like that journey to growing or to being where I am today, which to me doesn't even feel like I made it. Like, I have so much more that I want to do, and I don't feel like I'm where I even want to be yet. But that journey was literally like I was living my best life, and I wish I realized that at the time. Like, the journey to get to where you want to be is almost more fun than the actual end result. So I'm trying to think that same way right now because I'm so far from where I want to be still today that I'm just really taking everything all in. But anyway, I was just reaching out to brands like crazy, traveling, and there's so many like key moments throughout those 3 years that were so cool to me. Like, whether it was working with a brand I really loved for the first time, like Aritzia back then. Like, Aritzia took all my money as a teenager, so working with them was like so cool. And just like attending the Vogue CFDA Awards with Way, and any trip that I went on, I would literally think to myself, like, what brand is in this city and can I meet with them? I would take meetings, I would get myself in front of brands, I would pitch myself constantly, and I was really just trying to make this work and make a living for myself. Fast forward 3 years to where I am today, and I feel like if you were to tell me back then that today I'd be working with the brands that I work with, like brands that back then I could only dream of working with, and I didn't even know if it was possible to work with these brands like Topshop, Urban Outfitters, Aritzia, Nordstrom, even Revolve. Like, when I first got that Revolve email, there's a whole story to this. Like, I was in New York and they were sending me my first package, and I was living in Josh's like apartment unit in New York, and I forgot to specify the apartment number, and I thought it was going to just be lost, and I tried to contact the UPS driver, and Josh ended up chasing this truck literally 10 blocks down New York City, and I have a video of me finally getting it. I don't know if I want to insert it here because it's so sabotage. Josh and I are literally running around New York in our PJs, but I was so excited to work with Revolve. I was just so excited with every partnership that I got back then. Like, I was just so, like, I just kept pinching myself, like, am I really working with this brand? Like, for example, Topshop, I bought this like red suit that I really wanted to shoot. Like, it was a lot of money for me at the time, but I had to shoot this, and I knew it was like an iconic outfit, and to this day it's one of my favorite photos. I'll insert it here. But I shot it in Soho, was so happy and proud of this photo that I DM'd it to Topshop and Topshop Canada, like on Instagram, just hoping that they'd see it, and no one answered me, and I was so bummed. Like, I was at a coffee shop just like refreshing my DMs to see if they answered. And then a couple trips later, I was back in New York City visiting Josh, and I got an email from Topshop. I honestly couldn't believe it. I feel like I really manifested that, and I was so excited to work with them. And to this day, Topshop is one of my biggest and favorite partners. I've worked on so many campaigns with them. I shot campaigns for them, like the back to school one that I did this summer, and the denim campaign that I shot with Emma and Sophie this past February, which was such a cool moment. And with everything that comes my way like that, like, I'm still so grateful, and I refuse to ever take this for granted, because I've literally been able to change my life from where I was 3 years ago. Like, I am from charging $60 for an Instagram photo to making more than I made at my 9 to 5 within my first year of doing this full time, to now making 6 figures or running a 6-figure business, which is just not something that I take lightly or for granted at all, especially coming from business school. Like, they teach you that this level of a business is one that you can only get to if you go into finance, and it's just I never knew that this was possible. And the fact that this industry is literally at our fingertips with our phone, and that you have the power to just be your own boss and be creative and make your own hours and literally build a business for yourself, is just the coolest thing to me to this day. So that is not something that I will ever take for granted. Like, every day I still pinch myself for the experiences that I've had, like being flown to Paris this past February with Belmont Cosmetics and staying at Le Maurice, which I hate the way I said that. Le Maurice. Is that better? That's actually sabotage. But anyway, every experience that I've had like that, I still pinch myself, and I refuse to ever take it for granted, because I know how bad I wanted it, but I also know how hard I worked and how hard I still work to continue evolving and building my business and building onto my business, and being able to create a sustainable business for yourself where your income grows every year. And the industry is so new and it's ever evolving, and it's not too late to start, for you guys who are sitting there wondering this. So with all of that said, I, over the last 3 years, have received so many questions from you guys about how I did it and how to reach out to brands, what to charge, how to grow your audience, increase engagement. And I realized there's such a demand out there for this information from you guys, and a demand out there from brands, for more content creators and bloggers and influencers. Like, the industry is only getting started, in my opinion, and it's ever evolving. I decided to take all of those questions and all of this information and make a crash course about really what it takes to turn social media into your business, from my experience and the secrets and the strategies that go into it. And I'd love to introduce you guys to Mind Your Business. So Mind Your Business is my little passion project that I've worked on over the last year. So Josh and I actually came up with this idea in our cab ride on the way to the airport to take our flight to Paris back in February a year ago, and I've been working on it for a year. And Mind Your Business is really just the ultimate crash course about how to turn your OTD into a paycheck. So I wanted to cover everything, like all of your questions like I discussed, and really give you guys the tools and the insight that I wish I had when I was getting started. And I wanted this course to be for you, whether you're starting out, or maybe you already have an audience, or just want to take it to the next level. I really wanted to give you guys all the insight that I could and create the ultimate crash course to making this happen. And not just teach you guys information, but really give you guys the tools that you need. So a part of Mind Your Business, you also get a media kit and invoice template, a worksheet to really track your partnerships as you continue growing your business, the ultimate cheat sheet to cover all the terms that you need to know, as well as a brand partnership checklist to really guide you through any partnership that you take on and make sure you're set up for success. Like the name suggests, Mind Your Business covers the things that everyone wants to know but no one talks about, hence Mind Your Business. And by the time you're seeing this, pre-sale is officially up to sign up, and anyone who enrolls and purchases the course will get to be a part of a live workshop that I'm hosting, and the first 25 people actually get a one-on-one coaching session with me. So I'm very excited. I'll have my bio, or my website in my bio, for more information. So with that, I hope you guys enjoyed the story time, and I hope it was helpful and that you found it inspiring. And if you're watching this, or you were looking for that little bit of motivation to really take your year in your hands, a new year, a new us, and mind your business, I hope you found it here, and I can't wait to see what you guys accomplish. So I'll see you on Mind Your Business until then, and thank you so much for watching, and I guess that's all for now.